And let's get on Facebook. All right, so I will briefly introduce you, and then you're just going to share your story and what you do.
All of them?
One or two. I have about a half, like this usually runs about a half an hour. If we go over a little, great, but you know, we don't want to, people aren't going to watch like something that long. All right, here we go. There we go. You are a unique individual with the power to change lives just by being who you are, sharing your wisdom, and telling your story. Welcome everybody to Jen's Penn Live, where we find interesting people who make the world a better place, and we ask them to share their stories. You guys are gonna love this. Today we have Dennis Paul. Dennis, there isn't anything he hasn't done. Basically, but one of the most exciting things is that he engineered a bunch of technology back in, I think it was the 80s, for like recycling styrofoam and things like that. So he's very involved with, you know, getting pollution under control and all of that. Oh my God, there's so many. He's done a million things, and he's done it all suffering from Crohn's disease up until relatively recently. So that's a pretty nasty disease. And Dennis has found his way out. He found a way out of it without the doctors. He found his way out with natural healing and a holistic approach. So we want to hear all about that. Dennis, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Jen, it's really a privilege to be here and share my life, but not just my life, but the people that impacted my life. And I think I shared with you in a previous discussion, people ask me all the time, well, what college did you go to? What university did you go to? And I probably went to the biggest one in the world. It's called the University of Life.
Yeah.
And through life experiences and people that I met on my journey, like Dorothy did with the 3 collaborators she had in Oz, I've met some extraordinary people that imparted their wisdom, their knowledge, and I'm just a blessed individual because at the age of 15, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I thought I was in perfect health. Being raised on the farm, I was buff. It was really funny. My mother took me to the doctor once because she was concerned about me. And then the doctor goes, well, Mrs. Paul, there's nothing wrong with your son. My mother thought I had a pigeon chest, which was an abnormality. And he goes, no, your son's in really good shape. But anyhow, I was sitting at the dinner table in the evening. And of course, you know, on the farm, we don't eat very well. I'm kidding. I hope you'll get my sarcastic sense of humor. But I had not really started eating much. And I had this enormous pain in my gut, so enormous that I actually fell out of the chair on the floor. And I crawled over and laid down on the couch, and everybody's just staring at me. They didn't know what to do. Well, that was the beginning of my Crohn's journey, which is a 50-year journey of suffering and trying to live each day like Groundhog Day, where I didn't know if I was going to survive or going to thrive. It was really difficult. And it plays a mental battle with you because, you know, sometimes your attitude is not rosy and it's reflected on your family, your friends, and really it's a dumping ground, and you don't do it intentionally, but because you feel so bad, you just can't help it. Anyways, in my journey, what it did do is it changed my mindset in a number of different ways. And the first one was I was going to do everything, experience everything that I could because I didn't know how much time I had. The other thing that really prevailed in having grown up in a Christian family, although it was, you know, one of those really strict Christian families, I did find that belief, having faith in a higher power was going to be my solution. And I held that belief for 50 years until it happened. And it's sometimes we're meant to go through struggle and pain to get to that goal. And what is my goal? Helping others. And looking back at it as a young man, it was all about me. So I had to transform from all about me to all about you. And in that transformation and in those travels, I did travel all over the world. I did a number of entrepreneurial startups. I worked for a number of major corporations. Like you mentioned, I was involved in developing environmental technologies in the 90s before Al Gore invented the internet. And these were things that were so far out of the box. But that was one of the gifts that I had, was the fact of having a vision about things other people overlooked or blew off, because if it wasn't right in front of them and it was something that was radically different, like, no, the earth is not flat, it's round. Those things were not readily accepted in the beginning. So in my life, I did a lot of different things. I was in industrial chemicals, paper, plastics, food service. I've done all kinds of things, but my hobbies were just as diverse, being an outdoorsman. I'm a U.S. Coast Guard licensed boat captain, a scout master, doing all kinds of things that really added to my toolbox. However, it got to the point where after 17 surgeries, 2 bowel resections, missing 18 feet of my intestine, and the cycle of recurrence was getting faster and faster, that I had to do something to stop that cycle. As I met on my road to Oz, so many doctors that, like me, were thinking outside the box because they knew Western medicine had its limitations. Now, Western medicine is used, or I should say overused. You get a cough, you get a cold, you don't feel good. What's the first thing you do? You go to the doctor and he gives you a prescription. Or if it's something a little more serious, you go to the emergency room. Well, the reality is this. That should be the second step of anything that is serious, not the first step. There are so many homeopathic and naturopathic ways of treating a lot of minor illnesses. And believe it or not, now that I understand the cause of Crohn's disease and a lot of the gut diseases, and as it relates to other immunological disorders and even addictions, which I'll get to, I found that there's a lot of ways that I could have prevented that lifetime of cut and drug. And I'm not a big fan of drugs. There is a place for it, but I don't believe it's on the front end of managing your own health. And that's probably one of the first messages I want to share, is the fact that we are supposed to control what goes on in our minds and what goes on in our bodies. And I refer to it as our operating manual. Now, everybody has an automobile. And in that automobile, if you take all the junk out of the glove box, there happens to be a manual in there that tells you how much air for your tires, when to change the oil and filter. It basically tells you how to take care of your car. And people spend more money on their car than they do themselves. So what I do is I teach people how to develop their own operating manual, because no two people are the same. And in the development of that customized operating manual, because like I said, no two people are alike, you find what you need to do to change the oil and the filter, to tune up that car. And it all begins in the brain. And that was one of the greatest epiphanies that I've ever had in my life. I was struggling because I hated the opioids. I hated the prednisone. I hated all the drugs that they had me on. You know, if you've ever had this paranoia feeling like something's crawling all over you all the time, that's what these drugs do to you. Plus, you're not operating at full capacity. You can't focus. It's very difficult. But the pain was real.
Yeah.
And if you've ever experienced a chronic illness, it's not, well, I'm sick for a week or two and then everything's okay. No, it's 24/7, 365 days for the rest of your life. So I was looking for a way to manage my pain, and someone says, have you ever tried hypnosis? Well, I was always fascinated by hypnosis, but I'd never tried it. And the opportunity came up that I was able to go to a seminar, and I watched what happened. Then they said, guess what, Dennis? You're going to partner with somebody you don't know, and you're going to hypnotize them. I'm going, you're kidding me. So I went through, I did the induction. At the end of the session, this woman who is a well-known hypnotist, she's a stage hypnotist, she said, oh my gosh, that's one of the best experiences I've ever had. How long have you been a hypnotist? I said, well, 20 minutes. So I found that I had a gift, but I take it to a different level now. Beyond hypnosis, which a lot of people are afraid of dancing across the stage like a chicken.
Right.
That's not my forte, but I do like it, you know? I found that in the subconscious mind, which is where all disease begins and ends.
Right.
I'll say that again, because this is so significant. All disease begins and ends in the brain, because the brain also controls not only our conscious and subconscious level, but our autonomous level of all the functions of our body, including our immune system. Wow, what a revelation that was for me. I'm able to sit there and work on the control panel in someone's subconscious mind to help them heal.
Wow.
Now, healing is synonymous to two things: mental healing and mental health, and physical healing and physical health, which then come together and give you the emotional and spiritual healing to make you a whole person. In that healing process, though, it does begin in the subconscious level. So I became what I called a subconscious mind trainer, because what I do is I go in and I help someone to readjust what they have in the subconscious level. Now, how does that begin? The first thing that I do is I locate all of those areas of trauma, negative experiences in life, those painful times that cause blockages in our brain and in our communication system. Let me digress for 10 seconds. We have three communication systems. We have our so-called brain on our head. We have our brain in our gut, which is connected by the spine. Believe it or not, they're all connected. But then the third one, besides the gut, is our cardiovascular. So there are three primary communication systems. Now, what happens if you put bad gas in a race car? It won't run. So that's another subject I'll touch on, which gets into nutrition, diet, all of those things, because that's the physical aspect. But going back to the mental aspect, we're able to take and not erase, but we remove those blockages that created the triggers to cause in the mental aspect. By releasing that negative energy, it comes back significantly as positive energy. Oh my gosh. First time I went through regression to cause, which is one of the modalities, I don't think my feet touched the ground for 2 weeks. I was just empowered with energy. Having said that, once we eliminate those things that cause pain in our mind over and over again, when we replace them with positive energy and positive experiences and positive memories, then we can begin to modify habits, bad habits to good habits. We can modify behavior, bad behavior to good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, going back to the belief system, we can modify the belief system, because I'll talk about mindset in a little bit. Mindset will determine the outcome. And if you believe that you can be well, that you can be healthy, if you believe that you, even though your parents may have died of cancer and you think you're going to die of cancer, change that, because that's a belief that you're going to die of cancer and it'll manifest itself. So you break that cycle, and guess what? Now you start believing, wow, with technology today, I'm going to live to be 100 and I'll be healthy till my last breath. And guess what? It's happening. It's exciting. So in this modification of the brain, we now move into the physical aspects. And what we do is you can journal. There's a lot of things that you can do to determine what foods impact you. But now today, science makes it so easy. And I love using science-based technologies, like hypnosis is now science-based. And wow. They do have food sensitivity tests, which are different than allergies. And who would have known? I thought I was eating good foods, but who would have known rice, potatoes, spinach, Brussels sprouts, and blueberries were a cause of my flare-ups? You'd have never known that. So what we do is we peel the onion back on the physical aspects of the body. Because with, again, on that three-legged chair, if you don't heal the mind, you don't heal the body, and you don't change your lifestyle, that chair is going to fall over. So I have associates that work with me, and one of them is a health coach and a life coach, certified in both, and she's also a recovery coach. She's amazing. And then working in the brain and the neurology, in order to restore the balance, I also have an associate, Dr. Carolyn, who's a neurological chiropractor. And she'll help to restore that balance in the system. So we find that when we get into addiction now, addiction is extremely challenging, just like PTSD is with veterans. Mm-hmm. It is a situation where you have to find those triggers that are causing that mental disease called addiction. Now, understand, addiction cannot be cured. However, the behaviors can be, and they can restore a healthy lifestyle and be happy by modifying those habits, behaviors, and beliefs. However, if you don't treat the body, then guess what? It falls back in to struggling in the mind. So in that third level, we do all kinds of things, that third segment. We teach them how to exercise. Now, this is not like going to the gym. These are radically different. In fact, the program that I use now is only 30 minutes long, but it's equivalent to going to the gym 4 times a week for 2 hours. But I only do it once a week for 30 minutes. Then there's also restorative things that we do in the nutrient supplementation for age reversal that helps to heal a lot of things going on. So I'm quite involved in the age reversal. Now, this isn't just anti-aging, but it's actually restoring the chromosome telomeres that COVID has ravished. And a lot of people come to me for COVID restoration, whether they've taken the so-called jab or not, doesn't matter. And of course, the COVID killing technology that I use is just amazing. You can kill the virus within 3 minutes, but that's all for another story. So in this restoration in the third part, we are actually transforming these people in 90 to 180 days to being what they've always envisioned as a goal for their life. Now, the sad thing is, you can walk down the street, you can see a lot of people on Zoom calls, networking, all over the place, and they're recognized, highly successful people, professionals, business owners, multi-millionaires, corporate managers, all of these people. But then you start to peel back and look inside. And I hate to say it, they're rotting from the inside out. Their foundation is crumbling. They've been so focused and so successful on the outside, but their addictions are slowly constricting and taking the breath of life out of them. And so it's difficult to get them who have been successful to recognize that here is a cycle that can be broken and restoration can take place.
This is amazing. There are so many questions that are coming up in my head. And
that'll be in the next episode.
Yeah, right? Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's then talk about what we were just talking about what you do, but as far as like the services that you offer, that why would someone come to you?
I would say that 9.5 times out of 10, it's because they've tried everything else. They are desperate. And of course, it's usually a family member that's attempted suicide more than once. Overdoses. I mean, the death rate for addiction is extremely high. But when we can take a conventional, what they call recovery program, which has about a 34% rate of success, and just with the addition of subconscious mind training, we raise that to 67%, more than double. And then when you take and you add in the other two aspects of which I shared, the chiropractic neurological balancing and taking in the health and life coaching with recovery support mechanisms, it's even higher. And so we truly are breaking the cycle like no one else has before. And it's exciting. It's very humbling because as we hear the stories of devastation and destitution, the financial ruin, all of these things that take place, it's almost like we can't replicate ourselves enough. So my vision is ultimately I'd like to have a center where I can teach and my associates can teach how to break the cycle of addiction.
That's amazing. That would be so cool. I'm looking forward to you having that center. You know what? We have a little bit of time. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you actually took care of your Crohn's disease? We've been talking about that, but how did you actually do it?
Well, like I was saying, that was a 5-decade journey.
Right.
And the first 3 decades, while I traveled the world, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Japan. I love Japan, but, you know, how do you hide? You know what an SBD is. How do you hide things like that you can't control?
Right. Lots of rice over there.
Yeah, and it's embarrassing because culturally, some things translate, other things they don't understand at all. But I still managed. But as I traveled the world, I learned how to find all of the clean restrooms. Didn't matter what language it was. That was the first phrase you learned was, "Where's the bathroom?"
Right. Absolutely. Wherever you go.
It was after my second bowel resection. I couldn't get off the couch. I was so exhausted. I used toothpicks to keep my eyes open, that I really started studying nutrition, nutritional supplementation, looking at ways that I could reinforce and rebuild the backup resources I had lost. And I saw a huge advancement up until 2019 when this new liposome technology was introduced. That was a game changer. Even my gastroenterologist said, "Dennis, I don't know how you could have absorbed the nutrients unless you had this technology, which instead of giving you 15 to 20% absorption, you're getting 100%. So combining that with the hypnosis and then preaching, but also practicing what I teach on the lifestyle change. That's always the hardest, because you always think you're in control, but man, I'm going to go cheat and have a quick bourbon, you know? It did take me time to bring all of this together. And it was not until I had another epiphany. I'm doing all these different things and they're taking all my time, but am I really advancing anything? And that's when I woke up one morning and it said, Dennis, you need to put them all together into one program. And it was like, duh, I could have had it, you know? And then that's when the real healing took place. And I had a nutritionist that I worked with for many years. She's phenomenal, but she was using old science. But she did teach me that if you give your body the right tools, it will begin to heal itself in 6 months. Now, understand, begin to heal.
Right.
And I can remember waking up that morning, 6 months almost to the day, and I'm going, wow, something's different. And then in another 12 months of the healing process, when I went to have my colonoscopy, which is always a fun time at the office, you know, my doctor was in my face. He says, you got to come to the office tomorrow. And I'm going, wow, okay, I guess it's not good news. I went into the office and he goes, Dennis, I've never seen this, but I don't see any signs of disease. And I said, well, geez, doc, what do you attribute that to? And he says, the only thing I know is the only way you got your nutrients was through this liposome technology. So as science progresses and these new things are coming out then in the health and wellness world, some of them are not so great. Understand that. Not everything that comes out is the best. However, if you do your homework, you do your research, you'll find that some of these things are absolutely amazing. And they do so much to heal and restore the body. So in that restoration process, you know, you're looking at restoring the brain, you're looking at restoring your nutrition and your energy, you're looking at movement. You have to have motion, which COVID lockdown was the worst thing for us. You have to change your mindset, but also sleep is paramount, because it's in that realm of REM that your body actually heals. So those are the 5 pillars of health that we also teach. And it is paramount that if you focus on those 5, you will be healthy, because health, or I should say, wealth without health has no value.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, okay. This has been so much fun. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
If they would like to book a free initial consultation, all they have to do is go to meetthesolution.zombiecomplex.com.
That's awesome.
Meetthesolution.zombiecomplex.com. And one of us will respond immediately, because we know the urgency. If it is something other than addiction, please use the same link and we will still respond, because again, I specialize in immunological disorders and gut disease.
Right.
I do fun things though. I'm doing a Valentine's Day party, and I'm going to take, in the subconscious mind, we're actually going to take a group of new people that are dating, and we're going to bond their hearts together. And that, yeah, that's an exciting, uplifting part of what I also do.
That's really cool.
Performance levels, all of these things. And it's good for me, because you can't always fight battles. You got to have some fun time in there as well. So look for our Valentine's Day invitation for Heart Connection.
That's so cool. Awesome. Excellent. So we'll put the link in the comments below. And I just want to thank you so much for being here. This has been so informative and so interesting.
Jen, I thank you again for asking me and inviting me on. I feel very privileged. I thank you. And as I always say, be well and prosper.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen.
Excellent. That was great.
Good.
Perfect. It's a great time to, sometimes we go way over. And well, no one's going to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I understand that from my Toastmaster training. You know,
you had it right on time.
Yeah, I was right on time. No flashing green, yellow light. You know? Well, you know, you want to keep it uplifting for people so they'll stay and watch. You know, my sense of humor, I don't know whether they always get it or not, but you have to have some humor and life in everything. But I hope they also caught my passion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That came across very clearly. And I mean, honestly, the talk of pain too will make people relate. You know what I mean? So there's the pain, and then there's the inspiration and the hope. So that's wonderful.
Well, there's the pain and the solution.
And the solution, yes.
Pain and
which gives the hope.
That's exactly right.
That's so awesome.
Right. So now, when will you play this?
It just went live, so it's on the Facebook page. Next week it'll be on my YouTube channel.
Do I have your YouTube link?
I can send it to you.
Okay, I'll look.
I was going to do that. Yeah, I'll send it over to you, and yeah, and then if you want to go to the page, it's already up there.
Well, I would like to take and spread it out there on a lot.
That would be great. That's fantastic.
Yes, and you know, it's not about me. It's about
yes, exactly. Finding the people who need your help.
Yes, and I think I shared with you Billy Graham and his last quote. His last. You
did, but I've forgotten what it was.
On his deathbed, his family had surrounded him, and one of the family members said, "Dad, you've lived an amazing life. What regret do you have?" And he said, "The only regret that I have is that I won't live long enough to save one more life."
Right.
That's powerful.
One life. Beautiful.
One life. So that's my purpose. One at a time.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, Dennis, it's been so fun talking to you again. And I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Soon. Okay.
Have a great week.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.